Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to MLG StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm exhibitions, where we're currently watching some King of the Hill action, where TT1 is currently on a 3-game winning streak, trying to make it 4. Currently lining that up right now, trying to see who his challenger will be. Pretty one-sided victory in the last game.
It was, but TT1's actually, most of his victories have been pretty one-sided.
Yeah.
Back to the last couple. I mean, the one versus Sasquatch seemed pretty one-sided as well. He just rolled through there. I think he only lost like 1/3 of his army, if that, against Sasquatch's defenses. And I mean, even the one before that against QXC was kind of the same thing. I mean, 3-gate Mothership Core pressure. QXC misplaced the bunker a bit, and so he had to repair depots when he couldn't be firing back at Stalkers. And you know what happened is QXC placed the bunker for Marauder, not for Marines and Reapers.
Yeah.
But he didn't have a Marauder.
Yeah,
so.
the Marauder did not show up.
Yeah, I mean, well, it showed up right
a little
before
bit
he
too late. Yeah.
It showed up after he was down like 29 food to 50 something, which of course is never a situation any StarCraft player wants to be in. Half your food of your opponent usually means you're losing the game, unless they're massing roaches and you're not. Maybe.
True.
If you're going like Void Ray Templar.
Yeah.
Or you're going like Siege Tank Marauder and they're massing roaches, then you're in pretty good shape there. So I think we're going to get a Zerg up next against TT1. We're not quite sure which one yet.
I think Zerg or Terran, because we just had a Protoss. Unfortunately, the two Zergs who I thought would be around decided to go AFK at a very inopportune moment. So we're waiting on that right now. But yeah, I mean, very impressive play from TT1 and from Root in general. Like Katz, again, he was the only guy with the 4-game winning streak. And then, of course, TT1 now on a 3-game winning streak. Is this a testament to Root just focusing on Heart of the Swarm? I mean, what kind of explains this?
I think it really is. You know, if we look at there's you know events going on currently, like there's the Iron Squid, there's IEM Poland, there's all these events going on that are all Wings of Liberty. So most of the professional players are not playing Heart of the Swarm now, right? They're still playing Wings of Liberty.
Sure.
And the Root guys, I think, are looking into the future, saying, you know what, we're not in these current events. We're looking at the events that are going to be 3 months down the road, and 3 months down the road, most likely, there'll be Heart of the Swarm events. So that's why the Root guys are putting all their attention into Heart of the Swarm, and it's showing. Like you mentioned, I mean, Cats TT1 are playing amazing Heart of the Swarm matches.
We actually talked about that a little bit earlier. What's your take, in essence, on these players, splitting their time between Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm, or perhaps choosing one or the other to focus on?
I mean, I think it's something that you should stick with one.
Oh.
Well, or I mean, you can mess around with one game if you want, but if you end up splitting your time, you're gonna just not be great at either. So I think you either got to focus on Wings of Liberty to try to win the current events, the current online tournaments, or you got to say, you know what, forget that. I want to head start into the next wave of tournaments and jump right into Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah.
And so it's the players that are kind of mixing their time up. A lot of it's just they just want to have fun. And because you get kind of like you play one game for a couple hours, you're like, you know what, let's try something different. And they're kind of they're going back and forth. And I think it's a little bit less efficient use of their time, but it's a game, right? You're supposed to have fun, so more power to them.
All right, so we're about to get this game underway. Glon has decided to respond, and he has selected the map of Howling Peak, which some people might be unfamiliar with. Again, one of those new Heart of the Swarm maps, but there's a lot of newer maps that have honestly, they've actually been implemented into Wings Liberty as well. Acheron Waste is definitely one of those, and I think Newkirk City, I'm not entirely sure, but what's your take on the newer maps that Heart of the Swarm has become?
Some of them, I'm so bad at pairing names. The one we saw, QXC versus TT1 on.
That was Acheron Waste.
That was a good map. I like that one.
City?
I think it was Acheron Waste.
Yeah, I think so.
That map looked really cool. I like that map. But there's some other maps like the one we just saw the PvP on. I think that could have some problems just with the ramp size. But then if you make the ramp smaller, it's just too easy to just expand off the bat. So I don't know if I really like those in-base expansions, unless they do something like what they used to do in the Pro League maps, where they have like a secret expansion that anyone can take easily, but it's in a backdoor place. But your front ramp is still a single ramp wide, right? So it's still easy to defend the front way. But there's like a secret little back way that's not easy for them to attack, or else it'd be impossible to expand. But it's kind of out of the way, but it's there so they can harass you. So it's like an in-between. I feel the map we just saw was too easy to rush. There's no way to force you off the ramp. It's hard to wall off the ramp if you're Terran.
Yeah.
Zerg, they can't spine the ramp off the bat because they got to get creeped there first. It's way too hard to defend on that map, as it is right now. But If you just made the ramp smaller, it will also become too easy to defend. So
Yeah.
you can do a mid-ground where you make the ramp small, but then you make a little secret passageway sneaking around back as well if you want those easy expansions.
And here we see Howling Peak, another one of those newer maps, a lot of interesting map features here. Let's go ahead and introduce players. In the bottom left-hand location, we have the red Protoss player TT1, who is currently on a 3-game winning streak in this King of the Hill series. Of course, Cats has the highest winning streak right now at 4. And TT1, again, 1 win away from tying his teammate. I'm sure, actually I know they practice together a lot, of course. I'm on Root Gaming, so I know these guys fairly well. In the top right-hand location, we have the Blue Zerg player, the challenger, Glon, who was so kind as to leave his ladder game to participate in this match. So hopefully, hopefully they had a rock, paper, scissors there, or I don't know how you really resolve that. You just straight up leave, I guess,
Just
ladder
straight
points.
up leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I care about my ladder points, man. I don't know.
well, that's what makes you called a ladder warrior,
Yes.
as opposed to Glon, who is you know, a pretty professional player.
What?
It's
Calling me
alright.
not professional?
No. I just said Glon was professional.
Well, you're
and I
implying
said
I'm
you're-
not.
No, I'm saying you're a ladder warrior.
Okay.
You can be a professional ladder
I
warrior.
want to be both. Okay.
In fact, you're actually pretty high in Masters League now, aren't you? Aren't you top 8? Top 5?
I have 3 accounts.
Some of them. One of yours is really high up in Masters, so you're definitely a professional ladder warrior.
Aw, Nick, you're so kind to me.
Okay, so we have TT1. You know, this map looks like tricky to Forge Expo, so I like the way TT1's going about it. He's just going to use a Nexus as part of the wall, and the interesting thing though is where is he going to put the cannon? Because if he puts it
right next to it or right above it?
there's not an obvious spot to me where you can, because he has to put a building so they can't walk up the ramp, right?
Sure.
So there's going to be a forge there. If the cannon goes like between the pylon or Nexus and the forge, he's going to have a really hard time protecting his guys mining.
Mothership core, man.
You're right. I mean, so once he gets further up, but like early Zerglings could shut
Sure.
down half of that mineral line.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, but then you have to consider the investment placed into the Zerglings and how the probes can just stay in the main for a little bit, or they can just stay on the left-hand side of the mineral line. Of course, once the Zealot gets up, that'll help too, but I think he'll probably just snuggle it right up against the forge.
He will. And he's just going to say, you know what, I won't mine for the natural until
Yeah.
later down the road.
But I think it's fine.
And I mean, it's a hit, though. I mean, this is something we saw on maps like Dual Site, that Protoss actually had a substantially slower economy off the bat because he couldn't transfer workers. to
Hold on.
natural. Oh!
We kind of missed something.
no.
Glon made a lot of things earlier. The cannon's going to be canceled, and now it is crisis management time. I'm not sure exactly what the timing of that pull was. I wasn't really watching it. Apologies. And now TT1 is forced to pull these probes out to his natural expansion.
Yeah, he hasn't lost any yet. He's losing a lot of mine time, so
Yeah.
he's already in kind of a subpar spot. But you know what?
He's not going to die.
Yeah, he's not going to die. If he can somehow get enough money, he could. Oh no! Is he going to trap him? He was trying to bait a trapper who would surround him on the ramp, and then once you surround the Zerglings, you actually only lose 1 or 2 probes at most, and it'll kill them all. But unfortunately, just a hair second too late in a reaction. I mean, that was just unfortunate.
Go for this round.
Is he going to get it? Those Zerglings are greased up, man.
Yeah,
they just will not be surrounded.
They slipped right through those probes. TT1 trying to get that surround going. Hasn't lost any probes yet, I don't think.
So much mining
Which is
time
actually
down, though.
remarkably impressive. But yeah, your point about the
He's
mining
going to
time.
corner them again. He's going for the trap.
And he's gonna get it.
The
Is he gonna
Zerglings
lose-
decided to give
Okay,
up.
One probe lost. Oh.
The one Zergian, they let him go. He's like, no, come back here. If I'm going to die, I'll die with my friends. It's too much shame in being the one Zergian left
He
alive.
can't get out anyway as a cannon.
That's true. I mean, but he could hide in the corner of the main.
That's true. But he's a warrior.
He is a warrior. He fights the last breath. He just saw all his companions get destroyed by particle beams, absolutely
Destroyed.
dismembered. He's not going to just sit there and take that with
He
him.
had a moment of silence, but then he turned around and went after the 100 probe army without any hesitation.
So I mean I think TT1 handled that pretty well, but I think he still. I mean, he only lost 1 probe in that entire engagement. Oh, probe, no! 2 probes.
Oh, revenge. Wow, nice little surround there from TT1.
Man, you know what, TT1? He should just not make units. Just keep
make
making
probes.
probes. Yeah, just go like 4 base probes.
I like it. Zealot trying to get some damage done at the
Not getting
third
any
base.
kills, though, I don't think.
No, nothing.
Scratching the drone, letting it know what fear is. But you know what? If you do that, the drone's gonna work harder.
Yeah.
Because he's like, wait a minute, those Zelds hurt. I better mine so I can get more units to protect me.
They're going to be motivated.
They are. So
or they're going to be very upset and go and strike.
That's true. They could strike and say, it's a hazardous work conditions. I need extra pay. 50 minerals and 1 supply is not enough.
Yep.
We demand more.
Yep.
In either case, though, so it's a coin flip, but not that was worth it.
Wow, second cannon from TT1 here.
Definitely a little bit paranoid.
Interesting.
Oh, you know why? Because he has to kill the first. Because he can't mine gas.
Oh.
I mean, he can, but it would be slow.
Yep.
And that's because he had to replace that first cannon because it got canceled, right? And I mean, so the opening has definitely not gone the way TT1 wanted to go. I think that it's fair to say that. Even though he showed some really great probe micro, Glon has a definitive advantage at this point. In fact, I mean, right now the workers are fairly even, but that's because Glon hasn't really been making drones. He's been throwing so much into all these different tech paths. He's got a Roach Warren, he's got an Evo Chamber, attack upgrade. He's producing roaches, so Glon is either doesn't really know what TT... I mean, I don't know why he would produce roaches at this point in the game, actually. It doesn't make sense. Because there's nothing TT1 can do to threaten him. Maybe Glon's trying to actually put on pressure against TT1, but he's not making enough to attack TT1, so he's just... you know, maybe he feels charitable. He says, I hurt you so much early game. If I just mass drones, the game would be too easy in mid-game. So I'll make some units and not mass drones, and it'll kind of even it out.
And in another sense, like, it's kind of hard to predict the attacks from your opponent. Because sure, while he did do a lot of damage early, like once that mothership core gets out, I mean, I think there's going to be a decent amount of ability from the Protoss to apply pressure no matter where they are in the game. Because they always have the ability to recall, assuming they have the energy required. So we'll have to see what Glon ends up doing here. Has about 6 out, actually making 8 more roaches.
He really likes to mass roaches.
Interesting.
Adding in a few more drones, so he's slowly crawling up there. But I mean, he's got to get some extra tech because if he's gonna maintain on roughly income equality with TT1, you cannot mass roaches because Sentry Immortal is gonna be cost efficient. Okay, there goes the infestation pit chamber. Now this is making a little bit more sense. Just getting a couple of roaches early, maybe to throw his opponent off, maybe to feign some pressure. They're coming out right now. They're scuttling out. He's got to be careful, though, because force fields could decimate this army.
Also got a time warp available on that mothership.
That's true.
Core, so we'll
you
keep
can
an
use
eye on
time warp. When they try to run away, you could time warp them to let your sentries get in range to force field them.
And these are slow roaches, too.
That would be an awesome move. The Immortal's out now.
Oh, I'm surprised TT1 doesn't have his...
You know, TT1's scared of a mass speeding flank if he moves out there to go after the roaches.
Well, one force field to prevent that.
Well, not once he moves out. If he moved out after the roaches, that's why he didn't chase him, right? I was thinking, why doesn't he time warp and then move out after them as they're trying to get away? But it would have been, you know, if like 30 speeding surrounded that, that would have been kind of bad.
Speaking of which, we have some Lings going to try to run by into the natural expansion. Nothing much is there to defend here from TT1. Going to start targeting down some probes. TT1 does not want to be losing probes at this point in the game, and Zergling's going to be pursuing those. One Zealot going to be warped in, and he's just going to... Looks like he's going to try to back away. No, he's pretty much committed at this point in time.
Oh, he got a good 5-6 probe kills there, though. Yeah, maybe 7. I don't know. But very, very, very worth it, I would say. I mean, that was only, what, like 10 speedlings.
Yeah.
And Glon's just trying to... He's just speeding straight to Hive. I mean, he built the infestation pit, but he's not even building infestations. Not even getting pathogen glands. This could either be like an Ultralisk rush. The new Ultralisk actually beat almost everything. In fact, they actually may beat everything. Not
except Void Rays.
Except Void Rays, that's right. I think
surprise, Mr. Axslav, we have 2 Stargates on the field. One is producing a Void Ray. I think TT1's going to be transitioning into a lot of Void Rays here. I wouldn't reveal them, though. He's kind of rallying them to his main army. I don't know if I would do that.
Yeah, I would definitely hide him until he gets 4 to 6, and then maybe he'd snipe a hatchery with him or something like that. Glon is rushing straight to those Ultralists. And if it wasn't for the fact that T2 was getting Void Rays, I would be really scared for him.
Yeah, Void Rays, of course, have bonus damage versus Armored now. They have a nice little spell. I don't know, a passive, I guess you would call it. Or it is a spell. Or, I don't know. You just hit E. And it does Prismatic Alignment.
You know what, though? I still think if Glon just gets a lot of Queens to back up his Ultralisk, I think that could work. Or even just Hydralisk. Actually... Oh, Ultralisk Hydralisk with a couple of Vipers would be so powerful because he could abduct Immortals.
That's a lot of gas, man.
Yeah, but I mean, if he doesn't lose units, let's say he didn't build all the roaches early, he would have a little more gas.
Yeah.
Or maybe just he
That's
doesn't have to
also
build
two
that
different
many.
tech paths on the upgrades too. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Or you just wouldn't upgrade to hydras. You'd only get like a few.
Yeah.
It would be a little tricky. Multi-pronged aggression here coming from Glon.
Yeah, a lot of roaches coming into the national expansion. TT1 trying to get those probes away at the same time. We have some links swinging into the main base. Photon overcharge is going to be placed on that Nexus, and the Void Rays have been revealed as soon as 7 Ultras are on the way. And there goes the Spire immediately in production. So it looks like, this natural Nexus is going to fall.
It is. The Mortals trying to take down roaches. There's just a few too many.
No.
That is a great way to trade out your roaches because they're not very valuable.
Yep.
They don't do very high DPS. If they could tank for the Ultras, it would be great. But the problem is the Ultras run in front of the roaches, and then, it's the other way around. Where the Ultras are really your DPS unit, and you'd rather have the roaches tank. It doesn't quite work out that way. I'm interested, what is Glon going to go for with this Spire?
I mean, I feel like it's a reaction to the Void Rays, but if I'm thinking about, like, Corruptors, they're armored. I don't know how good they are against...
Corruptors don't do well versus Void Rays.
Yeah.
And Mutas don't even do that well versus Void Rays either.
Yeah.
Mutas are just kind of weak in straight-on fights. Especially with Guardian Shield there, and a few Stalkers to back it up. It's interesting. I would have thought maybe a Hydra list then, or maybe Queens. Queens are insanely good against Void Rays.
I mean, Void Rays aren't... oh, no, Mortal getting picked off there. Void Rays aren't incredibly mobile, so, theoretically, Mutas can do a lot of damage to mineral lines, just darting in between bases.
There is no blink. There is no blink. Yep. If you want Mutas, you would force TT1 to get some Phoenixes.
Yep.
But
oh,
TT1,
11 Corruptors.
Well, if you get 11, maybe that'll do it.
Even so, man.
I don't know. Like
if I could see TT1 getting up to 12.
And then just melt the Corruptors and
yeah,
melt the
12
Ultras.
or more Void Rays.
That money spending Corruptors could have been like Queens, and then you have a whole bunch of gas extra, right?
You really like the Queen idea.
Well, they're the hardest counter Void Rays in the Zerg Arsenal.
They're slow.
This is true.
And I think Glon wants to be aggressive, so he's got to get that creep.
You have to spread the creep aggressively, or just use the Nidus for now.
Yep.
Because the Nidus makes creep, so you put it, kind of in front of their face when attacked. It's a great way to retreat too.
Or make a hatchery in the middle of the map and build queens from there and use those queens.
That's like a slow version of Nidus, though.
And you can put spores down when you do that.
This is true. But,
or you can just play defensive and just static D everywhere.
Mass spore crawlers are pretty good.
Yep.
But like you mentioned, the Corruptors are more mobile. They're faster than Void Rays. So the one thing is, even though Void Rays are cost efficient versus Corruptors, especially with the new buffs they got against armored units, the problem comes in the fact that if the Zerg is good at knowing how many Corruptors it takes to beat how many Void Rays, what they can do is they can look at the numbers and say, I have enough to beat them, and don't engage. And the Void Rays can't run, so the Zerg is on top there. And if they don't have enough, the Zerg player, because Corruptors are faster, they can run away and wait for more reinforcements. So the Zerg player can always choose whether or not to engage, and that's a powerful, powerful tool.
All right, we have some Lings going for a counterattack here, going straight to the national expansion. There are a squadron of Zealots there trying to hold that flank, but the Zergling's going to be way too much.
Superior upgrades, really showing there.
Do you know the priority for Void Rays on Corruptors versus Ultras?
They'll attack the Corruptors first. Every unit always attacks the unit that can attack it before a unit that can't.
Oh.
So
T-I-L.
They will always go after those Corruptors first.
Alright, Zergling's trying to make something happen in the national expansion here. Zell's going to be warped in though, so that shouldn't be too much trouble. But Glon just trying to be as annoying as possible, trying to get some economic damage done here and there. And the Speedlings have Adrenal Glands, and they have +2 weapons. +3 is about to finish. They're going to be very powerful. And look at this, he has Burrow. That's so annoying.
I was about to say I really love TT1's army here with the use of the Templar in combination with the Immortal Void Ray.
Look at those Templar.
It looks really awesome, except for one small detail.
Ultras?
He's forgotten to get Side Storm.
No!
He's forgotten to get Psionic Storm. That's kind of unfortunate.
Oh no. TT1 research Side Storm.
I guess he can just turn them all to Archons. Archons are actually pretty good.
Though.
But I mean, the feedbacks are going to be...
Oh, this is a disaster.
It is.
Oh, I guess feedback's on what? Oh, no. And look at this, the High Templars are vulnerable too.
This is so unfortunate. When's he going to realize? He won't realize it until the battle starts.
Oh no, and
he's
here
gonna,
comes
he's going to try to storm. He just tried to storm the Corruptors. So unfortunate that... But you know what? I mean, he's fighting by cannons.
Those Void Rays, look at that. They're melting away the Corruptors. There goes the Time Warp from the Mothership Core. And the Corruptors are actually melting away to the Void Rays. And look at that, not even an issue.
Yeah, the Corruptors.
How many Corruptors were there? There's like 20.
There was 20, but I think there was about probably 14 Void Rays. And the Void Rays were just so much stronger.
And there we see the Hydras in that production tab. But again, this is with Storm now in the way.
And you know, the other problem is the Hydras are with Roaches, right? He needed the Hydras with the Ultras, because the Ultras are so much stronger, right? The Ultras are just better versions of Roaches, which actually is interesting. The only reason he built Roaches now is because he wants to keep on the pressure. So he's got to attack right now because Roach Hydra will become obsolete. He's got to go out and attack.
I don't know how he can do any damage now that Storm is going to be done, though, to this army.
It's really tough. This is such a high-tech army, and as much as Glon's tech, he actually doesn't have any tech in his army.
Yeah, like the Infestors, Vipers, I think.
Yeah, the Vipers would be great.
Against the Void Rays, especially.
Infestors would be absolutely amazing.
Here we go. Big engagement going to happen here. Glon coming forward with the Hydras. Storm's not going down just yet. The High Templars trying to get in range. There we go. Storm going down onto the Hydras. And Glon is going to back away. TT1 remains ahead 178 to 173 in that Harvester count. And Glon wondering how he can possibly engage that army. Meanwhile, Zealot's going to be attacking the space at the bottom right-hand location. Queen and a few drones going to be able to deal with that. But now TT1 knows that is there. Can easily just keep sending Zealots in that direction. Meanwhile, adding on more and more Void Rays. What does Glon need to do here to address this composition? Is Vipers?
I think he's dug himself into a hole. I mean, it's 24 minutes in the game almost, and he hasn't built a single spellcaster. I mean, even adding Vipers at this point, I think it'd be too late with the amount of Templar and Void Rays and Archons. Like, what's he going to pull forward? He could pull forward a couple of Void Rays. That'd be nice, but there's just too much going on here. He really needed, I think, either Infestors or... I mean, I think the Corruptors are what killed him, and he spent all the money on those. The Ultras were a great idea, but you need to combine it with a couple Infestors to lock down the units.
Yep.
Some Hydras to back them up. And then you go.
Some Vipers to pull Void Rays, potentially.
Maybe, or pour the Mortals, and it'd almost be maybe just as good, if not better, one of those two units. That would have been a great competition, like just one or two Infestors, a couple of Vipers, and you know, like you said, it's a ton of gas. But 20 minutes into the game, you've had a ton of gas to play with. Right?
Oh, there's a nice little recall from TT1. Here comes Glon. Oh, actually, you're able to attack the recall unit. Storm's melting away most of these Hydras. Charge-Lots coming in here as well. High Templars going to be turning themselves into Archons. Not the worst trade in the world from Glon, but obviously TT1 definitely going to come out on top there with so many units still alive. Glon trying to reinforce with 22 more Hydras. High Templars still have plenty, actually, out of energy on Storm. So we'll have to see if Glon can do something crazy to hold off this incoming push.
I mean, his Hydra's going to be rallying from different directions. It's going to be definitely an uphill challenge. At least going to have to give up this base and wait to remass forces. But you can see he's down by 20 supply. And if we take a look at the army tab, look at the value difference. It's not just 20 supply. The Protoss supply is so dense, right? Archons are only 4 food each, and there are hundreds and hundreds of resources. Void Rays, again, 400 resources as well, only 3 food each. Against just Hydralists and a few Roaches, I mean, the army difference is just too big for Glon to match.
All right, Glon is going to need the most remarkable concave ever. And here comes TT1, going to be engaging the Spines, Spores, and Hydra. Storm's going down on to the Hydras. Glon trying to back those up, Marine Split style. But so many High Templars in this army. TT1 is not running out of Storm anytime soon. And
he's a little bit hesitant. There's a lot of Spore Crawlers there. And the Void Rays are such a big part of his composition. You know, that many Spore Crawlers is basically, you don't want to go under a Void Rays. And if he doesn't go under a Void Rays, all of a sudden he loses a lot of his damage output against those Hydralists. Not to mention the fact that on creep they're so fast, Storms lose some of their value. I don't know if TT1 should even be going in here. I think he should swing around and hit somewhere else where it's less fortified. All
right, he's going to go for a TT1, surging forward with the Archons, Charge-Lots, High Templars, Immortals, and Void Rays. Glon trying to split his forces up as much as possible. Spines and Spores doing a lot of damage, but here come the Storms from TT1 onto Glon's army, and TT1 is going to have to back away. High Templars getting picked off in the back.
They really are. I mean, the Hydralists on creep with the Spore Crawler reinforcements are just powerful. I mean, TT1's army is getting so dense food-wise. Now it's nothing but Archons. But you know what? Archons aren't actually that great against Hydras. I mean, sure, food for food they'll win, but cost for cost, you're not going to be happy with those trades.
We're also seeing something that we don't usually see in Wings of Liberty, where, like Hydra's actually kiting in this situation, able to retreat. You don't see that too often. In Heart of the Storm, that's obviously going to be changing, but still no tech progression here for Glon. Are you still a firm believer that it's too late for that?
I think it is. He's got to just play tempo-based with Mass Hydras and try to starve TT1 out.
Yeah.
I think he's probably going to lose playing that style, but I think it's his best chance at victory.
Wow, High Templar's getting killed for free here. 4 going down, essentially for free. That's exactly what Glon needs to do, but there go a bunch of Hydras down to those High Templars, backing up once again.
If TT1 can find a way to kind of preserve his army and back away, allow himself to have the resources to get Colossi. A big engagement going on, though.
Yeah, this is a great concave here for Glon, but the Charge Loss doing so much damage. The Storms continuing to melt away the Hydras, and here come even more Void Rays to join this composition. And there's Glon throwing down the GG, and TT1 is on a 4-game winning streak in this King of the Hill, tying Cats for the highest streak. He's 1 win away from a $50 bonus little prize there, and playing some very good Heart of the Storm.
He really is. I mean, it was excellent there. We can tell every time Glon bunched the Hydras up to where his Zealots and Archons couldn't get in on him, he backed away. And then the second Glon made that positional mistake to kind of spread out, TT1's like, oh, all of a sudden my entire Archons can get in this arc and engage and all destroy you. He took it, and we saw what happened. Instantly, all the Hydras just evaporated.
Yeah, of course. We've decided we could attribute a lot of that loss for Glon to just the production of all those Corruptors.
So much money.
And again, like he scouted the he scouted the Void Rays, and that was his immediate response, placing down the Spire. In your opinion, if you scout Void Rays being mass-produced by your opponent at that point in the game where Glon was, what's the better decision than just placing down that Spire?
I think, in my opinion, the optimal decision is Mass Queens and Nidus.
Okay.
But I think it's also fine to go Infestors. It's also fine to go Hydralisk. Those are great responses too. I think the worst response is Spire. I mean, you know, I would actually honestly rather see him just get more Ultratus and Zerglings than Spire.
Yeah. I mean,
and maybe he can kill all the buildings. I don't know.
In watching that, like we were a little bit surprised, like because I said right away, I don't know about Corruptors against Void Rays, but he made a lot of Corruptors. He made like 20, 25 Corruptors.
Do very well.
They didn't do much at all. No. Those were like 12 to 14 Void Rays, and they completely melted away the Corruptors. And I was asking about target priority because if the Void Rays are attacking other stuff instead of the Corruptors, then maybe it can be good. But TT1 able to clean up those Corruptors very fast, and then the Void Rays can start attacking the Ultras, and everything's just going to die. So, very interesting game there. Nice little Heart of the Storm insight there for you guys in this King of the Hill on Friday. Who's going to challenge TT1? He's on a 4-game winning streak, 1 win away from a 5-game winning streak. Coming up next, guys, it's going to be a challenger for TT1. I'm going to go to the channel MLG and see who would like to go up against him, because, you know, he's on a 4-game win streak. Like, someone's got to be able to do a good challenge to him and maybe take him out. We'll see, guys. Don't go anywhere. Coming up next, it's going to be TT1's attempt for that 5-game winning streak. See you in a bit.